not open now, but, I mean, they've got some really good stuff.
It says rotate your phone.
Better?
Okay, it went away when I did
Are we
that.
live right now, or?
Yep.
We are. Okay, hi. Hi
Hello.
again. I'm Rachel Patton, Director of Preserve Arkansas, and we are on the inside of the Mississippi County Courthouse at Osceola, here with Mississippi County Judge John Nelson.
Good afternoon, glad to have y'all here.
Take it away.
All right, well, we're on the bottom floor of the Osceola Courthouse. We're looking around, showing some of the older rooms that's not used anymore. This particular one, when we first got into office and my staff and myself came here, we were cleaning up some of the rooms and making plans for the future. And so anyway, we obtained the key to this door, and we only found one person in the courthouse that had ever opened it. Anyway, it had contained a well-kept antique, and I have not found any history on this particular room or any documentation, but I'm assuming that this was a holding room for a defendant that was probably going to be adjudicated on the third floor. We don't have a light bulb in this room, but I can open the door and show you that it accommodated 2 residents, complete with bedding. The bottom bunk is folded up.
Let's see.
And then if you can turn and look up, this was some of the original bars in the room. I think this cell, this portable one, was added later. But you can see here the old bars. And then also, if you look behind you, you can see a window that allowed access into another room. I'm not sure what that was for. Like I said, we're continuing to investigate the history of the building and trying to find some information out about some of the rooms. We can step right here, right down the hall. This elevator was added in the 80s, so this was renovated, but we can come through here at some point, put a lowered ceiling in. And the paneling, I suppose, looks like the 70s to me. But you'll also see the bars on the outside of these windows, which makes me believe that since it is adjacent to that first room, that all of this area probably held the defendants here in this room, these rooms. This courthouse was completed at a cost of $86,000. It began plans in 1911. It was dedicated August the 17th of 1913, and following week they held a dance in this courthouse. So there was complete with orchestra, and so there was been many types of civic events here. This was certainly the town's gathering place. There's an immense amount of history. The first county judge, and that was not in this building, that was in the first courthouse that's about 6 blocks east of here. That county judge had was just about to issue a court order to begin the drainage in the county, and a lot of the citizens that was there to be present for that objected to it, and one of the people there produced a rope, and so they had intended on taking the judge's life. So anyway, he escaped through the 2nd floor window and was let down, and there was another attempt on his life. He did not get the court order in place for the county drainage. It was the next county judge that did that. So all of that took place, some of that took place in the first courthouse building, and then a lot of that took place in this building. So a lot of history here in the south end of the county. We can go upstairs into the foyer. beautiful detail here on the banisters and the metalwork. There's a lot of artistic points to this building, especially the tile floor. We mop these floors every day, but we don't put any soap on them. We try to do everything that we can to preserve and make sure we don't fade them. And one interesting thing, we looked on this particular part on the outside, but we could not come up with what these wood structures were. And so, for several days went past, on the inside of the building, on the outside, thinking maybe it was some sort of window or doorway. And after a couple of weeks of a lot of investigation and research, found out this was the bulletin.
The message board, yeah.
And today, we still have to have bulletin boards in our courthouses, complete with thumbtacks and paper. Not sure why, but you can still see some of the old tacks that were left up here. These serve for information on foreclosures, bankruptcy, auctions. Very unique piece of the courthouse here. Can you set up to the third floor? Sure. The doorway. A really nice architectural part of it. The railings. This work right here, you're just going to see that work anymore. The high ceilings. Another interesting part of the courtroom, you'll notice, and when we enter into this door, you'll notice this is just one really big room. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 doors on it, and the fifth one down the hallway. So that's another thing that might make you wonder why, but you need 5 doors, especially these 4 so close together. But do you know what the answer is? It was ventilation. Pre-air conditioning. So the architectural design is centered on how can we keep this place cool in the summer with a room for people.
Yep.
So ventilation is taken into consideration throughout the building. You can see some of the damage, the water damage here in the corner, which has been going on for decades there. We also have some just above us in the ceiling.
Now, Judge, is that from the drainage issue on the roof, or is that from the dome, or both?
It's probably both.
So hopefully it's about to be repaired.
I think this is going to do it. We spent $70,000 on it in, I believe, 2018, and it didn't last long. We're going to spend well in excess of $2 million here, and it's going to take everything. This is a beautiful building. If you see some of the, could you help me out with the name? Do you know the terms for that architectural?
The classical detailing with the wreath. That's what that is what I would call it.
And I'll show you some more damage back here. No, I'll take that back. This room is not so bad. There's another room I'm not sure we can get to, but it's sustained a lot of damage from the water.
And this room is used for?
This is the circuit judge's office. And you can see some of the damage here on the inside of the windows As soon as we get the water stopped and all the leakage stopped, then we're gonna start attacking these, one at a time. This building is under contract with the Arkansas Heritage.
Yes, it's the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program
Right.
is giving county courthouse money.
So once we get the water stopped from coming inside the building, I think we can concentrate on these and we can get another 7,500 years out of this building.
Yes.
We're walking down the hallway to the right. You'll notice the design here on this tile is different from the first floor, but there's a lot of history here on where this tile came from. We're still researching it, but the people of Osceola did their homework and did a lot of research on really building a really beautiful piece of architecture. You notice here the wood, very tall doors, and the humongous windows.
I really love those windows out here.
Yes.
Painting.
Yes.
I haven't had them painted, but a lot.
You don't see windows like that when you put in anymore.
36 panes in each side.
And I believe this light in the center is original. You see another leak right there, but like I said, as soon as we get that taken care of, then we're going to start whittling away at restoring the building's integrity. With some of these small things, cleaning up the window panes, getting the paint off that's been put on the glass.
Now, Judge, I mentioned this on the roof, but if you'll tell people who are watching now that how is this being paid for?
This is being paid for by an extended a tax that's already in place. Mississippi County voters passed a tax in March of 2008 or 16, March of 2016 for 5 years to sunset. It was 0.5% sales tax, which produced $3.2 million annually in revenues, and that went to support the operations of both of our county hospitals as well as some capital improvements there. They've done a very good job. They've come back on their feet. They're out of the red. So, but like any a hospital that's operating today in this climate knows that it's very costly to run hospitals in general, whether you're in rural Arkansas or in some of the metropolitan areas. But we're back on our feet, and what we did was we took a referendum to the voters February the 12th of 2019 to extend that, not let it sunset in 5 years, but extend it another 31 years. And we're going to take that $3.2 million that it produces in revenue, and we're going to pay off the annual payments of a $18,100,000 bond issue that passed in 2019. And the principal and interest is going to run about $986,500 a year, and we'll take that out of that $3.2 million. So what we're going to do is basically take a third of that revenue, dedicate it to the courthouse renovations, and the other 2/3 will continue to service our two hospitals. We're back on the second floor. As you can see, this is the Untitled Chapter again. It was added in the 80s, complied with the Arkansas Disabilities Act. Some of our older offices, they've changed around many times during the 100 years, a little over 100 years that this building has been in operation.
Okay, maybe, unless you have something else you want to show us, maybe we should make our way back outside and look at the copper.
At the copper? Yes, that'd be correct. That'd be correct. Renaissance Roofing has done a fantastic job on replicating the original artwork that was put on the dome in the wet copper and the cupola. There's our new block.
Hey, you're live. You're live.
Live on Facebook. And I'll turn this back over to Ty.
Hi, hello.
Hi. So we're looking at some pieces we've recreated, some of the decorative pieces that go on top of the dome once it's finished. Those parts are for the top of the cupola. They sit on a ledge.
So obviously these are some of the old pieces that came off.
Those are actually the base. Those are the sides of the very base of each one of the hip assemblies on the dome. So they had that nice scroll work there. So we've recreated and stamped that out. So we're in that process right now, making those profiles. So we just brought these along for you to see. The corner pieces for the cupola. Brought one of those out here for you to see. We got several other parts and pieces inside there. So we're going to start cladding the cupola first.
So this was obviously the old one,
That is the old one, yep.
and then this was just fabricated to match this design.
It was, yes. Yeah, so we made a mold. You make an epoxy resin mold, and then you stamp it out on a giant press.
How large can you stamp a design out?
I think we can go, yeah, maybe like a 3 foot by 3 foot, 4 foot by 4 foot maybe at the most. So we have a pretty large press.
Beautiful work.
Well, thank
Not
you.
everybody does this.
No, it's a dying trade, so.
What do you do to create the other shapes where you have to weld things together?
Those are soldered together, so this was all flat stock. So then it was all cut, sectioned, and then soldered together. So this was all at one time a flat piece of copper.
And then what are these large rolls in here? What are you going to do with those?
Those are native. Those are panels for those might be go along with the large stamp pieces. So those are all part of the base of the hips. So they probably stand about this tall, about that wide. We tried to get some finish to get here, but we're still in the process of making it. So those pieces on the side are for it. This kind of shows you how big those parts are. So that's the side profile piece.
I noticed some of the advertising on the back of your shirt says historical roofing system. So you specialize in.
We do. Preserving and restoring historic roofing systems. Tile, slate, architectural sheet metal.
So a 100-year-old building is not unusual for you to work on.
It is not. This is what we work on every day. So this is our specialty.
Anything else that y'all want to add? Ty or Judge?
I want you to come back when we get through. And look
Or
at
even, let us get some more sheet metal installed and come and visit. And then you can kind of see how everything goes together.
We'd be glad to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all so much.
Well, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for convincing me to go all the way up. That was fun. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Preserve Arkansas, you may visit our website at preservearkansas.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Bye, guys.